So yesterday, probably around, Skip, I say 1 o'clock my time, maybe a little later, I got a text message. Horace Grant wants to get in touch with you. Do you mind if I give him your number? I'm like, sure, no problem. So about 5-10 minutes later, Skip, my phone is ringing, but I don't recognize the number. I don't answer numbers I don't recognize. Sorry. And so leaves a voicemail. Check it out. Sharpe, it's me, Ho Grant. Give me a call at your earliest convenience. Okay, I called him back. I said, "What's up, Ho?" He said, "Hey, Sharpe, how you doing?" So we start talking. Skip, I'm from rural South Georgia. He grew up in Sparta, Georgia, which is more middle Georgia. We're about a little over 2 hours apart from each other. So I'm very familiar with Horace Grant and where he grew up, and he and his brother. So we start talking. I said, "Okay, bro, shoot me straight. What's going on with this deal? I mean, Mike said you can't eat, lotta. He said, "Sharpe, I'm telling you 100%, that did happen." He said there's the flight attendants, they're serving us, and he touches the flight attendant and says, "Hey, he doesn't eat because he played like poop." And Ho said he stood up and said, "F you, Mike." So he went back to confront Mike. One of his teammates, if I'm not mistaken, Skip, he said it was Brad Sellers. He said, "Nah, G, don't worry about it. It's not worth it." He said there are several times that he and Mike almost came to blows. He told me that it started from the day he got there, that Mike started this, what we would term bullying, from the very first moment that he walked in. So they always had heated practice. There was always a source of contention with him and Mike. And he told me, Skip, he said, "Mike, this is the way Mike was. If you did not confront Mike, he would ride you every day, all the time." He said you had to stand up for yourself. He said really the only person that Mike didn't do that to was you know who, and the guy you know who is number 34, Charles Oakley. Horace said that he and Charles still speak to this day. He and Charles are very good friends. He said, but he had a problem. He said, "I didn't have a problem with Mike the player. I just had a problem with Mike trying to motivate me to get me to do my job." And he said, "Nah, that wasn't going to happen." He says, "I did speak up for myself. There were several times that that I was going to confront Mike and put my hands on Mike." He said, "Skip, they asked him about this in the video." He said, "Sharpe, I looked dead into the camera. I said, Mike didn't want to see me then, and he damn sure doesn't want to see me now. They cut that out." He says, "There's some, Skip, I'm not going to get into the other stuff." I said, he said, "Look, I want you to tell everything what I'm telling you." I said, "Nah, bruh, I don't feel comfortable saying that." Some of the other things that he told me, I say, "But as soon as Fox Studio is up and running and we can have guests in, I want you to come on and you tell that side of the story." Skip, I don't feel comfortable saying all the things that what he told me. I'm going to let him share that with y'all.
Okay. Forgive me, Shannon, I can't hear you very well, so I'm not exactly sure everything you said, but we did talk about it, you and I, yesterday on the phone, so I'm going to kind of go off our phone conversation. Okay.
Right.
I have high regard for Horace Grant. He had a long and strong NBA career. He played 17 seasons, so he's no joke. He's no vagabond. He's no, sort of extra set piece to this story.
Right.
He was the ACC Player of the Year at Clemson. He led the ACC in scoring and rebounding his last year there. And the Bulls had 2 first-round picks. They actually traded up a little bit higher to get Scottie Pippen in '87. And Horace went 10th overall also to the Bulls. So Scottie and Horace came in together. And right away, Horace was a very good player. So I'm going to take nothing away from him. And to his credit, the 1 year, and this will be episodes, that we see this coming Sunday night. What are we up to?
7 and 8, right?
7, 8.
7 and 8. 7 and 8.
In episodes 7 and 8, we're going to see Michael go play baseball for a year, AA in Birmingham. And in that year with no Jordan, Horace Grant made the All-Star team. That was the one and only time he made the team. Yeah. So I'm going to give him that much respect. Now, let's get back to Michael Jordan. he drove Horace hard. He saw right away that Horace sometimes needed to have his fire relit. He didn't always play with the focus and the fire that Jordan demanded. And it got a little ugly, and it got a little ruthless, and it got a little heartless. That's who Michael is and was. That was the guy whose whole life was committed to winning championships. In the biggest picture, Horace Grant was blessed to play with Michael Jordan. As much crap as he took from Michael, as demeaning as it was, as insulting to his manhood as it was courtesy of Michael Jordan that Horace won 3 rings right out of the box there, 91, 92, 93. 3 times he won championships in a row, in large part because of Michael Jordan. That's the guy and again, Michael was the unofficial head coach of that team and the unquestioned leader of that team, and he drove everybody similarly. But like the great coaches that we talk about who decide, I need to motivate different players different ways, he motivated Horace ruthlessly by challenging his manhood. And again, I'm sure Horace was that close to wanting to throw down and let's just see who's the most man here. I'm sure he's very close to fighting Michael, and he deserved to. Yep. I got it. It was worthy of fisticuffs. And I'm with you. If you put me in that situation, I know for sure if you put you in that situation, them is fighting words. You're going to have to see who's the most man, because you have to defend your dignity. But yet, that's Michael Jordan. And I've never defended the how of it. I've just defended the it of it, because that's how he won 6 championships in 6 tries with 6 MVPs, because he was psycho-driven. And yet he had high basketball IQ, high psychological IQ, and he decided that there's a weakness in Horace that he's going to challenge and make Horace try to rise up to Michael's level. And if he'd wanted to fight, I'm sure Michael would have been happy to fight him. And could Horace have won that fight? Maybe. It's 6'10 versus 6'6. Maybe he could have. And Horace was a guy who averaged a couple of years 10 rebounds. So he had the ability to be tough. But Michael didn't think he was always tough enough and focused enough and driven enough game in and game out. So when he didn't show up, Michael told the flight attendant, no food for him on the way home. And it's Michael's way of saying, you're not worthy of food. But it's not like Michael locked him in the closet and said, you can't eat for 48 hours. He obviously was able to eat when he got home. But in the end, you have to realize that Horace Grant had a great ride, because he did win 3 championships. Then he did make the All-Star team. And guess what all that got him? It got him a 5-year, $50 million deal with Orlando. So he got to leave after 94, which was Michael's baseball year. So when Michael came back, Horace was in Orlando. And in those days, in 94, $50 million, which he got all of, that was a lot of money, man. That was big money. So Horace got paid. So the sacrifice he made, the price he paid to have to live with Michael Jordan's abuse, paid off, because he won championships. And then he was blessed enough later in his career, 2001, he got to win a 4th ring with Shaq and Kobe. So that'll also work. Got to reunite with Phil Jackson. So again, I can't condone it, but I will defend it, because I feel for Horace. I hurt for him, because that was some low stuff he had to go through. And to this day, he's bitter about it, and I get it. But remember, Michael even held Horace accountable for the Jordan rules, the Sam Smith book that was not all that flattering to Michael Jordan. And Michael said in the documentary the other night, this past Sunday night, that was from Horace Grant. Yeah, he just flat out blurted out, that was from Horace. Well, it wasn't all from Horace, but Horace was a good source for Sam Smith, the Chicago Tribune. And yet I believe a lot of the Jordan rules came from Jerry Reinsdorf and Jerry Krause, and also from Phil Jackson and the assistant coaches, who also would talk to Sam occasionally, quote unquote, sort of off the record, just in passing. Sam obviously covered the team, traveled with the team, lived with the team. So it wasn't just from Horace, but I think a lot of the locker room stuff came from Horace.
But didn't Sam Smith follow Jordan sometime to the golf course? Wouldn't he walk when Jordan was on the golf course at times during the season when they would go and Sam Smith would go? At one point in time, didn't they have a decent relationship with each other before this book came out?
Sam Smith and Michael?
Yeah.
I don't know that for sure. I wasn't there yet in Chicago. I worked with Sam briefly in my time in Chicago, but I'm not sure. We shared the same literary agent, but I'm not sure of that deep background on that one. I just know that Michael was not happy with the book. Michael would not talk to Sam for at least a while right after the book came out, after the first championship season. It came out in, I believe, 92. So the point was, Michael, what was his quote? He said, I'm going to laugh about it and I'm going to move on, was his quote. Like it was all just, to him, fiction. Well, it wasn't fiction. Michael was protective of his image and obviously his sneaker selling image. But I think the book was spot on, dead on, bullseye. And